Well, good evening, Vacaville. I'd like to call to order the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for the City of Vacaville, April 7th, 2021. We appreciate everyone who is participating in tonight's Parks and Recreation teleconference meeting. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20. Please bear with us as we attempt to use remote tools. Instructions to call into the meeting or participate from a computer are provided on the agenda on the city's website at www.cityofvacaville.com. Callers who wish to comment can press star 9 to get into the speaking queue. Computer users can click the raise hand button within the Zoom controls to request to speak. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Commissioner Berumen?
Present.
Commissioner Leonard? Commissioner Thompson?
I am present.
Commissioner Vasquez?
Here.
And Chair McMahon.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Berumen, would you please lead us in the pledge this evening?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right, item 3 on the agenda is swearing in of new commissioners. Tonight we have the pleasure of swearing in 2 new commissioners, and we have our city clerk, Michelle Thoroughborough, here. If you would please do the honors of swearing in our new commissioners, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair McMahon. Aisha Gutierrez, would you please repeat after me? I state your name.
I, Aisha Gutierrez,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Mr. Vandertool,
Yes.
please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Philip Vandertulen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Michelle, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here, ma'am.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you. Congratulations, Commissioner Gutierrez and Commissioner Vandertulen. We welcome you and we appreciate you being a part of this commission, and we look forward to working with you. So this time, I would like to turn the floor over to Commissioner Gutierrez. Ma'am, if you would like to introduce yourself, we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Aisha Gutierrez, or Commissioner Gutierrez. I am a lifelong Vacaville resident. I currently work for the Downtown Business Improvement District. I've been there for about 2 years. Prior to that, I have an 18-year history in human resources, mostly focusing around recruitment. But I am happy to be here. If we get a little personal, I'm a mother of 5, so I have been involved in Parks and Recs and its activities, not only in my profession, working for Downtown Vacaville, but also with my very active children. And I am, again, happy to be here and looking forward to this.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We know you do some great things out there for our city, and we really look forward to working with you in this capacity. So welcome and thank you. Commissioner Vandertulen, sir, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner and fellow commissioners. So my name is Philip Vandertulen. I'm a 20-year resident of Vacaville, so not a lifelong. Professionally, I am a landscape architect. I've been self-employed for about 30 years, and I've given 40 years to the profession. I'm excited to sit on the opposite side of the table because typically I'm standing in front of Parks and Recs commissions, planning commissions, city councils, and it's going to be refreshing to sit on the other side to participate and bring some of the experience that I have from my profession to the Parks and Recs Commission. So I'm very excited to be a member. I look forward to be a contributing member to the group, and hopefully for the benefit, well, not hopefully, ideally for the benefit of the community, far and wide. So I'm looking forward to be an active member. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We're very happy that you're here, and it sounds like you have a great deal of knowledge, and it's going to benefit this department and this commission. So thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Agenda item 4, approval of the agenda. Madam Secretary, are there any corrections or changes to the agenda for this evening?
I don't believe so, Chair.
Very good. I will accept a motion, please.
This is Commissioner Thompson. I motion approval.
And a second.
Commissioner Berman, second.
I have Thompson and Baruman. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baruman,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandertulen,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Yes. Agenda item number 5, approval of the minutes for the meeting March 3rd, 2021. Madam Secretary, are there corrections or changes for that meeting?
I have not received any changes or requests for changes.
Thank you, ma'am. I will accept a motion to accept the minutes for March 3rd.
This is Commissioner Vasquez, motion to approve minutes.
And a second, please.
Commissioner Berman will second.
We have Vasquez and Baruman. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baruman,
Yes.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandertulen,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 6, communications. Do we have any written communications prior to this meeting this evening?
We have none, Commission Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Director Hubbard. Item number 7, reports of Parks Manager David Jacobson.
Good evening, Commission Chair and Commissioners. I just have a couple items in addition to our routine maintenance at Lagoon Valley Park. We just recently replaced, it's probably about 18 years old, the one-way spike strips on the back gate basically mechanically failed. And so those were replaced just past week. So there's new spike strips installed out at the back gate at Lagoon Valley Park. Next slide, please, Tracy. And then the second item I had was same park, Lagoon Valley Park. We had a memorial bench request. The photo to your left is basically an aerial view of Lagoon Valley Park, and the location there marked is in what's called the Rotary Grove. And then to your right is an actual photo of the location that the applicant selected. And that's been marked out in white paint for installation. And myself and park planner Hugh Hesterman have reviewed the location required by the applicant and okayed or approved that location for installation. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, David. I will open it up to the commission for comments or questions for our parks manager. I see no hands from the commission. Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public with their hand raised for our parks manager?
I see none, Chair.
All right, very good. We will close public comment. David, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate it. Item 8 is presentations. This evening we have Recreation Expo, Special Events and Cultural Arts Recreation Coordinator, Kristen Milliken.
Thank you, Sean.
Okay, hold on. If I can, Commission Chair, before she begins, just some background on this. Typically, we will have our recreation coordinators come and present on their respective program areas to give updates and future programs to the commission. So today we will have recreation coordinator Kristen Milligan present on the expo, but also her program areas, specifically special events and cultural arts. So welcome, Kristen Milligan.
Thank you, Reggie. Thank you, Sean. Hello and good evening, commissioners and members of the public. I do want to start off by telling you about our annual event that we have each year. It's the Recreation Expo, and this year it's going to be a virtual event. Usually our Recreation Expo is held at Three Oaks. Last year it was held at Ulatis, and it's a great event for parents to register their children for our summer camps and programs. So I can tell you about it, but there's this great video. So Tracy, why don't we roll the video and then we can answer any questions afterward.
Vacaville, do you copy?
Vacaville here. What's your report?
The annual City of Vacaville Recreation Expo has gone virtual this year, and I can see what a great time Space Cadets are going to have, even from out here in space.
Oh, that's a relief. I thought you were going to say, we have a problem.
Vacaville, I know we won't have a problem with all of the great camp offerings we have this year, both virtual and in person. There's going to be science, technology, arts, music, wilderness, and so much more.
That's a great report. When will the event launch?
It blasts off on Saturday, April 17th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Zoom.
Tell me more. For science.
When you register on Zoom for this event, you are automatically entered for drawings and all kinds of special prizes. On the day of the event, there's going to be live demos, camp previews, and even instructor meet and greets. Staff will be on hand to help with registration, and as always, a 10% discount when you register a child for 3 or more camps.
A discount, you say? Tell me more.
Well, new this year, you get to save 10% on Civic Rec for a whole 24 hours.
24 hours to take advantage of the 10% off camp discount? Parks and Rec has never done that before. Talk about out of this world.
That's right, Vacaville. And you can take advantage of this event from any mission control station, smartphone, or computer.
So I don't need a spacesuit to participate?
Leave the spacesuit to me.
How do I register for this stellar event?
For information, videos, and more, visit www.cityofvacaville.com/expo, EXPO.
Sounds great. Mission Control, signing off. I got to tell everyone about this Rec Expo.
See you Saturday, April 17th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Zoom.
Thank you, Tracy, for playing that. Are there any questions about the Recreation Expo coming up on April 17th from 9 to 11 a.m.?
Kristen, this is Sean. Thank you so much. Again, I know it's been a challenging year for everyone, especially this department. And again, you guys continue to think outside of the box and bring something new and fresh. So it's much appreciated. It's exciting. What is going to happen during that time from 9 to, I think you said 11? Are there going to be presentations via Zoom, or how's that going to work?
That's a great question. So there are going to be different breakout rooms. So depending on what the interests are, you will go to that breakout room and you will be able to speak with the instructor or the coordinator or staff on hand about that program or summer camp.
Excellent. And so I know in the past there has been presentations or performances. Will there be any live performances or presentations?
We will have some demonstrations, yes.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I see Commissioner Vasquez, ma'am, you have your hand raised.
Yes, just a quick question. If folks are having trouble logging into Zoom or just any technical difficulties, is there going to be staff available, or who should they contact if for some reason they can't get into Zoom but want to participate, or just having problems with technology?
Hi, Melody Ocampo here. I can answer that question. Yes, we have contact information posted on our website, cityofvacaville.com/expo, and our registration staff will be on hand and answering phone calls during that time. And that kind of goes towards anyone that's having issues throughout that 24-hour period where a discount is available online. This is our first year doing it, so if any issues do occur, people can email us, hopefully screenshot us what's going on, or just describe their challenge, and we can help them and set them up with some sort of appointment, whether that's virtual, or if we are able to do in-person appointments, then we will get them set up for the following week and make sure they get their discount applied if they contact us within that 24-hour discount period.
Awesome. Thank you, Melody.
Of course.
Any further commissioner comments or questions? I have one more question for Kristen or Melody. Will this be streaming on channel 26 that morning?
It will actually, it's going to be a Zoom link.
Okay, very good.
That participants pre-register for.
Okay, very good. Is there a way to stream it on channel 26 in case somebody's out there and watching it, much like our meeting this evening?
Hi, Chair. This is Melody again. We can definitely discuss that option with Wayne. I would encourage folks to register for the Zoom link only because it makes you eligible for a bunch of our prizes that we have out there. One of our registration questions is basically just pick the prize that you want to be entered for. It also enters that person into a potential 50% off, not 50% off, I'm sorry, $50 gift certificate basically for future use. So while we'll definitely look into that option, you would not be eligible for those discounts because we would not have your contact information.
Okay, understand. Thank you so much. Any further commissioner comments or questions? Okay, ladies, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm gonna keep going though.
Oh, perfect. Beautiful. I'm sorry.
No worries. I'm gonna dive into my area, which is cultural arts and special events. So we're gonna kick this off with our cultural arts. Tracy, next slide, please. So our current cultural arts class offerings, we have Music for Everyone classes, our Make Art classes, Starbound Youth Theater, our ballet, and our voice classes. And you'll see the ones that are a star, those are the classes that we were able to offer virtually this year, even through COVID. So many of our classes were able to pivot and still be offered even in COVID. So that's a good thing. Next slide, please. Some of our new class offerings, we have our hip hop with Jennifer Riddick, who is amazing. And we have our country line dancing, ballroom, and sparkle on your wedding day. And that's going to be with Carl Balou. And then we have some additional offerings we are working on, which is our ballet folklorico and our tinikling. And if you're not familiar with the tinikling, it's a traditional Filipino dance, the folk dance. And it involves two people that are beating and tapping some bamboo poles. And then there's this beautiful dance that happens along with it. So I'm trying to put some pieces in place so that at a later time, we can go ahead and offer a larger cultural event for the community. Next slide, please. So some of the challenges in cultural arts, there's really, for a variety of reasons, we've lost many of our contract classes. And that includes our Kids in Motion, our origami, our realistic drawing, and tap dancing. And so even before COVID began, it was really hard to find new contractors to teach our classes. And so it really just continues to be a challenge for us to find teachers for these classes. Next slide, please. Any questions about our cultural arts? Okay.
Kristen, I see no questions.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. All right, so new hat on. This is the special events. And the events that I'm going to speak to tonight are really our annual events, and they are subject to change just depending on what the COVID guidelines are. So traditionally in January, we've had our father-daughter dance, and in May, we've had our mother-son dance. And I really wanted to combine them, and I wanted to have a more inclusive names because families are all different. They're all different. So wanted to be more inclusive and just call it family dance. So coming January of 2022, we will be offering our family dance. And then the next event is our Super Bowl Saturday, and that is a soup tasting. It's a week-long soup tasting event working with our local downtown restaurants and DVBID. And then this year, because of COVID, so traditionally we've done our bunnies and bonnets, which is a traditional egg hunt. And this year we had to pivot and do something different for COVID. And so we offered the community 3 different options. We did our bunny, hip hop, and drop off, and there were 3 options. We had the egg option, which was people could purchase a dozen eggs and we would hide them in their yard, or they could do the basket option. So we would hide the eggs in the yard and then they could get a basket, an Easter basket. And then the third option included the aforementioned plus a dancing bunny doing a hip hop dance. And if you haven't had an opportunity yet, please visit our Facebook page at Vacaville Rec and go see our performance. It was wonderful. It was just this last Saturday and Friday. It was a very successful event. We had opened some time slots on Saturday morning, and then we quickly had to open more registration for Saturday and then add a second day for Friday. It was a very successful event. Next year, we will be reverting back to our more traditional egg hunt. All right, next bullet point is second Saturdays. So it used to be Thursdays on the Green, and I just tweaked it a little bit. So it's second Saturdays, and it's just in tandem with our farmers market, where there will be games and different activities up at Andrews Park while the farmers market is going on. And then we have the Creek Walk concert series and the 4th of July fireworks, and there's more to come on that with Melody. Next slide, please. And the first bullet point there is our major concert, and that will be coming back in 2022. And coming in September, we're going to be doing a scavenger hunt, and we're working with one of our other departments, Special Interest. And we are hoping to plan one for this fall for September, and then another one for spring 2022. And so the way that it works is we would visit different places around Vacaville, like the Vacaville Museum, and we'd be working in collaboration with DVBID and downtown restaurants, and people would take a variety of pictures and they would upload them using an app. And then the next bullet point is our tournament of families at Kid Fest. More to come, still a bit of a question mark there. And then we have our Halloween event, and that is our pet parade and our pet costume contest. And then Run for a Reason. So last year, again, we had to do something different. So we tried our hand at a virtual run, and 50% of the proceeds were raised and went to the Solano Community Foundation, and it helped the people that were affected by the LNU lightning complex fires. So that was a good thing, and we want to continue that tradition and maybe look for a different nonprofit to help this year. And then finally, one of our traditional December events would be the Santa visits, and that's where Santa and Mrs. Claus come to the home, and they usually spend 30 minutes. And so we want to continue that tradition, but I was also looking, the bunny hip hop and drop off was so successful, and it was so neat to be able to go into people's neighborhoods. I'd like to be able to offer a neighborhood Santa, which maybe would be a week-long event where we visit the different parks in the neighborhoods, and we would work with fire and PD, and we would do a little bit of a Christmas parade in our neighborhoods. So that's what that would look like. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned earlier, some of our collaborations, we work with the Downtown Vacaville Business Improvement District, DVBID for short. And we also work with the Vacaville Museum, Visit Vacaville, and the Chamber of Commerce, and many more. It takes many people to come together, and we always appreciate the partnerships. Thanks, everyone. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. Some of the challenges for special events is being able to pivot in these uncertain times, not having that crystal ball and not knowing what the future may hold for us, and being able to time our events at the right time, right place, and being able to still bring something to the community with COVID has been difficult. Another challenge is being able to continue to provide these quality community events at a low to no cost for participants. With COVID, everybody has had a challenging year financially. Some people have lost loved ones, and we don't want to create an additional strain. We really want to be able to keep the community engaged and keep things affordable. And then the last challenge would be sponsorships. And it's just, we aren't always as appealing, and we have the competition with the nonprofits. All right, next slide, Tracy. Does anybody have any questions?
Kristen, thank you very much. Are there any commissioner comments or questions for Kristen? Commissioner Bruin. I'm sorry, sir, did you have your hand up?
I forgot to unmute myself again. Christian, I just want to thank you and applaud the staff for doing such a great job with the Easter egg hip hop. I saw some of the Facebook, and it looked like everybody was having a great time. I think thinking outside the box like you folks are doing and working with what you have is very brilliant of the ideas that are coming out. I just want to applaud you guys for that, because I know you don't get a lot of thank yous and a lot of that, girl. So I just want to make sure you get that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Any further commissioner comments or questions? Kristen, I see no further commissioner comments or questions for you or Melanie. Thank you for everything. You know, this past year, again, I've said it many times, but it has been a challenging. I know that I have seen you all over the place throughout the city doing important work, and you continue to do remarkable work, and you guys continue to think outside of the box. And, you know, I think that we are getting towards the end of this pandemic. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and you guys always have a plan for that, and I appreciate it. So continue the great work, and it's much appreciated, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all of you as well.
Thank you. We are at now agenda item number 9, business from the floor. This is the time to address the commission with issues that are not on the agenda that are within the commission's subject matters jurisdiction. Maximum 3 minutes per speaker. Madam Secretary, are there any callers from the public, ma'am?
I see no hands, Chair.
Thank you very much. We will close public comment. Moving on to item number 10, business. Acting Director Reggie Hubbard, if you would do the pleasure of introducing 10A, please.
Thank you, Commission Chair. Yeah, last night the City Council had a special meeting related to their budget, and it was more of a budget 101. And our department wanted to follow suit and provide the Commission with a small snapshot of just the process and how our budget originates from start to finish. And so we have Socorro Witzy, our management analyst, here to work with the public works staff and present this item. So Socorro is going to take off.
Good evening, Commission Chair and Commissioners. This presentation will be on the department's operational budget process. Public Works will be presenting on the Capital Improvement Program budget process following this presentation. This presentation will focus on the budget development process, and the fiscal year 21-22 proposed budget will be presented during next month's meeting. Next slide, please. This is just an overview of our budget process. So in January, the position allocations are due to finance. In February, the programs, facilities, and administration programs submit their draft budgets. During this time, the coordinators will begin analyzing previously offered activities and programs, program performance, which involves participation levels and survey data collected. They will review current fiscal year performance goals and objectives, create new activities and programs based on research survey data collected and program suggestions from the community, council, and commission received throughout the year. In March, the department receives the base budget from our city finance department. The department then reviews the base budget, makes adjustments, and submits any changes to finance by the end of the month. The city manager in April will schedule and will meet with various departments to review their budgets. Our meeting schedule is scheduled for later this month. This is the time when we are able to bring any additional requests for augmentation to the table. The department has been very successful with receiving budget augmentation in the past. Examples of some approved granted requests that have been granted are a full-time ADA position and resources for the therapeutic program, part-time park ranger, and a part-time park planner. In May, the proposed budget that will be reviewed by the City Council is presented to Commission, and the first budget study session with Council is conducted. A second budget study session is conducted with Council in early June, and the budget is adopted during the last meeting in June. Next slide, please. This slide provides a sample of questions that are on our general survey. The results of these surveys are utilized during the initial development of the program draft budgets. Surveys are typically set up to be automatically emailed through the system after the participant has completed their class session. Coordinators will also include questions that are specific to the activity the customers have participated in to capture any suggestions for improvements of the particular activity. The last bulleted question provides guidance to the coordinators on potential program enhancements or additions during the budget process. Next slide, please. The department's operation budget is made up of 3 major areas: programs, facilities, and administration, which will be discussed further in the next couple of slides. Our budget also funds a total of 19 full-time positions and anywhere between 150 to 250 non-full-time staff, depending on the season. Next slide, please. The department manages 13 programs and over 500 activities. These programs are categorized under either pay-to-play or community well-being programs. The pay-to-play programs receive no subsidy from the general fund and at the minimum must cover their cost. Cost of running the program includes staff, supplies, and overhead. Examples of activities under these programs include preschool, before and after school programs, t-ball and swim lessons, adult softball, and music lessons. The community well-being programs receive subsidy or support from the general fund. These programs are subsidized because their purpose is to bring community together or serve and provide inclusivity to a diverse population within the community and are intentionally offered at a very low cost or free of charge. The subsidy for these programs range between 55% to 65%. Examples of these activities under these programs are the 4th of July and the Creek Walk, various therapeutic recreation activities, and various senior classes and Meals on Wheels. Program coordinators will present their programs in detail at future commission meetings, just as the presentation given earlier by Kristen this evening. There will be exciting new programs for the upcoming fiscal year that will be revealed during the fiscal year 2022 budget presentation. Next slide, please, Tracy. The department's longstanding goal continues to be to subsidize facilities at no more than 50%. Facilities are subsidized due to our existing programs and other city department uses, which reduces the availability for rentals. These uses include testing, workshops, trainings, assessment centers, and interviews. An example is the Dukes Center, where activities are scheduled Monday through Saturday and limits availability for rentals. Although the facility is subsidized, the department is collecting revenue from the activities being held at this location. Next slide, please, Tracy. The administration function is to support the department overall. The administration area supports areas such as customer relations that includes general inquiries, registrations, facility reservations, and during current COVID conditions, assists with reaching out to seniors and local businesses and supports programs with accommodation requests. It also supports the City Council and Parks and Recreation Commission and various committees such as Arts Advisory Committee and the Project Review Committee. It maintains partnerships with groups and organizations such as Travis Air Force Base, Peña Adobe Historical Society, and the Vacaville Unified School District, and Solano County Office of Education. Next slide, please. Just moving into the capital improvement program. These are the main three areas that would initiate the CIP process. Development, when new development occurs in a new park, is part of that development. Maintenance and or immediate safety emergency repairs when a facility's maintenance needs are at a high cost, such as the replacement of the VPAT chairs and excess of $60,000. In collaboration with Public Works, department staff works to determine what items should be added to the CIP general fund project list. The criteria the department utilizes to determine the projects that will be placed on the list are safety, maintenance, commission and community feedback received throughout the year, participation and potential to generate revenue for the city and the department. It is also important to note that priorities will shift based on the citywide immediate emergency and or safety needs. The city's strategic plan and our newly revised Park and Rec master plan will also assist with identifying new projects in the future. So with that said, Public Works staff will further discuss the overall capital improvement program process. This concludes the presentation on the budget process. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Socorro. Are there any questions for Socorro from the commission? Socorro, I see no hands raised, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, Commissioner Vasquez.
Sorry, I was trying to find the raise hand button. I just had a quick question about the cost recovery. So that was noted in the staff report, cost recovery being 55 to 72% for our programs. I'm just wondering, what is that normal? Like, what is industry standard? Is there an industry standard? And if not, then like what are the comparables that we're looking to at when it comes to cost recovery?
So we're a little bit on the high side for cost recovery, and there is no industry standard. The cost recovery is actually set by the different program areas. So for example, there's the community well-being programs where the cost recovery is a little bit lower than the pay to play. So that's how we manage the cost recovery. Does that answer your question?
I guess, I don't know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I guess to lower that cost recovery is then to like request in terms of operational budgeting and for more additional funds for programming, right? If I'm thinking correctly on that. Sorry, I'm not a budget person.
So let me see if I can try to kind of explain that. So the pay to play programs, those have to cover all their costs, right? And then we have the community well-being programs where we subsidize it so that we can lower the cost of the participants. So those are the ones that have been identified, like the special events, therapeutic rec, teens. Those areas are lower cost recovery.
Okay, got it. I think I understand now. So if we want to offer maybe potentially more accessible, like lower cost programs, I think what I'm thinking, sorry, just thinking out loud then, is Parks and Rec could request more money for City Council to offset that, right? To subsidize some of those pay to play programs. And then those wouldn't be as high. So I'm just thinking out loud, just trying to understand the cost recovery portion of it. But yes, thank you, Socorro, for answering my question. Sorry.
No, and I did want to mention that we do have a program, so a reduced fee program. So for those who qualify, we do offer a 25% off of our programs, those pay to play programs.
Thank you.
Yes, and this is, I don't even know what my title is, Acting Director Reggie Hubbard. Great question, Commissioner Vasquez. And several years, well, actually more than several years ago, more than 10 years ago, we did have an outside consultant come in and do an analysis of our cost recovery, and they compared us to other agencies in the state, and we were on the high side, which means we were recovering more of our costs than most organizations, most park and rec organizations in the state of California, which was really good. Some of the things that, of course, impact that is the minimum wage increase, because the more we have to pay staff, we can't really turn it over and charge our customers that fee and put it in on the fee side. And so it sort of shrinks that cost recovery. So it's been, over the last few years, that cost recovery has been dwindling a bit. But as Socorro said, I was going to chime in, we do have reduced fee programs. We're looking at doing more scholarship programs to make our programs more accessible to individuals. But to answer your initial question, yeah, our cost recovery is fairly good related to other organizations. And although there's not an industry standard, there's a range that most park and rec professions want to hit, and it ranges between 30 and 50% depending on your city's philosophy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further commissioner comments or questions for staff? I see none regarding the operations budget process, so it looks like we are now at the citywide capital improvement program process.
Good evening, Chair McMahon and commissioners. This is Agruma Wook. I'm, the new Public Works Director for City of Vacaville. Not so new. I've been here 5 months, so I just wanted to introduce myself. The citywide CIP Capital Improvement Program budget process will be presented by our Assistant Director for Engineering Services, Tim Burke. But I did want to take this opportunity, one, to introduce myself, but also to give a brief overview of the Capital Improvement Program budgeting. As Socorro mentioned, the CIP budget is a planning tool that the city uses to plan, design, and construct public infrastructure. The projects in the CIP, in the Capital Improvement Program, are identified, as Socorro briefly mentioned, through a variety of sources, master plans, maintenance records, and requests from citizens, commissions, and the like. And the departments, such as the Parks and Recreation Department, play a very important role in identifying projects and implementing these projects for the city. Now, I am excited to share that we are in the process of updating the CIP policy and procedures document. And our hope is that this document will better define the roles and responsibilities of the team members in CIP project, but also streamline the process. With that, I will turn it over to Tim Burke, Assistant Director for Public Works, and I thank you for your time.
Thanks, Groom. Good evening, commissioners. I'm here to give you a brief overview of our capital improvement program and how we budget and how we ultimately construct city projects. Next slide. As Groom said that our capital improvement program is a critical planning tool that helps us identify the needs of the community and also helps us identify the needs to meet goals of the various elements of the strategic plan. And we come up with projects from various sources, including master plans and safety needs, responses from citizens, planned repairs, grant-funded projects, growth infrastructure needs. The program is used to identify and track capital improvement projects, financing, priorities, and schedule. The CIP program funding is typically appropriated on an annual basis, and which is coinciding with the city's budget process, which we're going through right now. Next slide. So the first step is to see if that need is a project, and if that project should go into the capital improvement program. So a capital improvement is the definition that the state and local agencies use, is any alteration or addition to real property or infrastructure that substantially adds value to the real property or prolongs the useful life and becomes part of that real property and is permanently affixed to the real property so that removal would cause a material damage to the property. Next slide. So these are examples of our capital improvement program projects, which include roadways, landscaping, as you see in utility work, city facilities, and even art projects, as shown in the bottom right, with our project that's in the median of Leisure Town Road. Next slide. Here's some examples that are not part of our CIP projects. Purchasing vehicles, computers. Those are more out of operating budgets or operating events. Next slide. A quick way we try to think about it is if you were going to hire a contractor, it's probably a CIP project. And if you're going to order it, it's probably not a CIP project. Next slide. So what do we need to add a project to the program? What we need is first a scope of work, kind of identifying the project. And that can be as large as a master plan or as little as 2 or 3 sentences. Then we're going to need a project budget, and we need to identify a funding source. And included in that would be any kind of restrictions on how we can spend the money. And we would need an engineer's estimate an engineer's estimate of the project budget. And then finally, project schedule. We need to know any kind of specific deadlines that we have to meet, and any milestone dates in between. So next slide. So I'm going to go over some quick roles and responsibilities. Project sponsor is a department or division that identifies a need for a capital improvement program project and is responsible for the funding source associated with that project. And I wanted to give one or two examples of that. So back in, this is what we do when we're budgeting for a capital improvement, our capital improvement program. Back in the year, fiscal year 2012, 2013, Parks and Rec Department identified a new need for a new neighborhood park in the North Village subdivision. And they decided to use Parks and Rec development impact fees because this was a growth inducing project. And next slide. And then what finally became Corderos Park. That project was added to the budget way back in 2012, 2013. It went through a couple of years of gaining more funding, and then it was designed in 2015 and 16, and ultimately built in 2017. Next slide. Here's another example in the fiscal year. This is a public works project. The Public Works Department identified a need to widen Leisuretown Road, Bandon Road, from 2-lane to a 4-lane facility because of increased traffic in the area. And also we partnered with the STA to create a regional reliever route for Interstate I-80. And we used not only traffic impact fees, but state and federal grants for this project. Next slide. This project ultimately became the Jepson Parkway Phase 1 project. It widened Vanden and Leisuretown roads from the city limits to Elmira Road. It was built in 2018. Next slide. So, as I said earlier, we are currently going through the budget process right now. And what we do every year is we start to look at modifying our capital improvement program. So March 8th this year, we put out a project schedule. And on March 29th, we provided sponsoring departments fund balances for them to program to put into existing or new projects. Later this month, the sponsoring departments will provide Public Works a worksheet showing how the new funding is going to be distributed and include any kind of project descriptions for these new projects. Then in May, Public Works will present the CIP budget to our Delta team, which includes the city manager's office and department heads. Next, we'll take any new projects that were identified as part of this process to the Planning Commission as part of a, to ensure that the new projects are consistent with our general plan. And then in June, Public Works will present the CIP budget to City Council. And then later in June, with the adoption of the city budget, City Council will approve the capital improvement program. Next slide. Once council approves the program, so here's a list of current projects that are currently in the capital improvement program. So we have a couple master plan projects. The Youth Athletic Leagues field, gymnasium, Centennial Park, our Forest Rest and Trail Loop, Outpatch Park Playground and Picnic Area, Lagoon Valley Park Trail Marking, Brighton Landing Neighborhood Park, which has been completed. It's now Nasha Mesto Park. Outpatch Park Phase 2 Master Plan, Nelson Park Master Plan. And then finally, we're putting away money for future parks of Magnolia Park Phase 2 and Vanden Meadows Neighborhood Park. Next slide. So after the adoption of the budget, everybody kind of wants to know how will these projects be built? So in some cases, when it's financially beneficial to the city, a project will be completed as part of a development project, similar to some of the park projects in Roberts Ranch. And then for the most part, though, the city will put out contracts, and we follow what's called the Uniform Cost Accounting Act. And this allows for the following procedure for the city to contract with contractors to build capital improvement program projects. If the project's less than $60,000, it can be done by city forces or, and excuse me, it can be negotiated just with a local contractor. Next slide. If the construction contracts between $60,000 and $175,000, it cannot be done by city forces. And we do have to put together plans and specifications and follow a bid process. And then that gets awarded either by the city manager or director of public works. Anything over $175,000, we have to follow all those same rules, but it has to go to council to be awarded. Next slide. So once the bids are done, it's time to construct the project. And then after that, next slide, it's time for a ribbon cutting. So that concludes my presentation. And I can answer any questions you might have.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Director Awuk, thank you for being here this evening, and welcome to Vacaville. We appreciate all the important work you do in our parks and in our city. We know that Public Works is extremely important to keeping our city running every day, so we appreciate it. And Assistant Director Tim Burke, thank you, sir. The presentation was very informative, and at this point, I will open it up for Commissioner comments or questions. Commissioner Vasquez.
Hi, Commissioner Vasquez. I just had a quick question. Based on the list that you shared, and just recalling some of the conversations and presentations on like Nelson Master Plan, I thought that some of that, so I guess my question is, a CIP project can also include grant funding, because I thought when we have talked about other funding for some of the other master plans, specifically Nelson, I thought I remember a conversation about grant funding possibly being an option. And so can it be both, or can it include both in terms of if it's a CIP project, can there also be grant funding included?
Good question. Yeah, yes, the CIP program includes all different kinds of funding. So it's not just general fund projects or city type funds like Parks and Rec, impact fees, but it can also include grant funding. So if the city secures some sort of grant, either from the, federal government, anybody, that we can incorporate that into the CIP program.
So the threshold then is the threshold of the entire project, regardless of whether it's funded by the city or grant funded?
That we follow the list I was
Right.
going over. So
yeah, the
it
couple
doesn't
slides
matter.
back.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where the funding's coming from. We follow the Cost Accounting Act, and it's all dependent on the construction contract amount.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing.
Thank you very much. Any further commissioner comments or questions? Okay, I see no hands from the commission. I would like to open it up for public comment. Any one from the public have their hand raised, Madam Secretary?
No hands are raised, Chair.
Okay, we will close public comment. Socorro and Public Works, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Moving on to item 10B, Acting Director Reggie Hubbard.
Thank you, Commission Chair. As you, the commissioners are aware, the majority of our special events were canceled last year due to the pandemic. We are hoping to return to offering some of our large events this coming year. Of course, it all depends on the tier system, vaccinations, just a few items that we need to, hoops that we need to jump through before we can move forward with some of these things. But with that said, we wanted to bring this to the commission, our main events, which is the Creek Walk and our 4th of July event, bring it to the commission for discussion and feedback on, how we could potentially operate and some of the things that we intend on doing. And today we have our recreation manager, Melody Ocampo, who will be presenting this item to get the commission's feedback. So take it away, Melody.
Thank you, Reggie. Good evening again, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. As Acting Director Hubbard mentioned, I will run you through the options for the Creek Walk Concert Series and our 4th of July events for this coming event season. Next slide, please. So just real quick, I wanted to give you all a brief snapshot. I know that's a lot of text. I apologize for that. Typically, I would shame myself for doing this, but I just wanted to capture as many things as possible. And our community has so many more events above and beyond these, but these are just some of the annual events that we have all kind of come to know and love. And I just kind of wanted to honor them here. So, I just want to make note, they are categorized by city organized and community organized, but many of these events are a product of collaboration between both the city and the community organizations. And I know that there are quite a few that they would not be successful without those great working relationships that are at play. So I'm not going to read these all to you, but take a look. You can just see that there's a lot we're missing out on, and everyone has been just eager to get back to. Next slide, Tracy. So how do we do that? Effective April 1st, the state has issued guidance for COVID-19 outdoor seated live events and performances. As you'll see here, I've just put a couple bullet points up from those guidelines. One of the big ones is the pre-registration that is mandatory, no same day or at the door tickets, and registrants must attest that the reservation is only for one household. There's also a requirement that they must be either within our region, we're part of the Bay Area region for COVID, and in the tiers red, orange, and yellow, they can be within the state. That purple is for regional only. Face coverings are mandatory. So the guidelines do call for non-compliance to require removal from the facility immediately. And we see that as being, you know, a bit of a challenge, especially as things start to open up more and more. We have our, I feel like it's about 50-50 out there. Yeah, half folks who are like, I'm done with the mask, I want to move on, and those who really feel strongly it's very important and are quite sensitive to be around others who are not following the mask wearing requirements. So, and then kind of an odd one for talking about concerts, we are to discourage audiences from yelling, singing, or chanting. I don't know about your concert going experiences, but I tend to do all three. And then I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention, there are capacity limitations based on the various tiers. However, all of our event options that are being presented tonight are at maximum capacity for social distancing. We actually don't meet a lot of those, even come close to those capacity numbers and percentages that you see there. There would be some, if we were in the purple tier, we would have to go down to that 100 max attendance. That would be the one that would really impact us if we were to go back into that tier. Next slide. All right, so option number one, I've got two options for our Creek Walk concert series, and then two for 4th of July. So just starting us off, it might be a little confusing. The Creek Walk, as we all know, is in downtown Vacaville. However, it's a very branded concert series, so I'm still calling it Creek Walk option one, even though this option is for Lagoon Valley. This would be a drive-up option where 344 cars could fit, and as you can see, those cars are only a little bit smaller than our stage size. There would be some potential impacts to the regular park use. Things like the archery range would probably be suspended for the day and possibly into the weekend to protect the on-site equipment. The open field is likely to have some damage from regular parking of the cars. And then there's just that eyesore of a semi-permanent pod that we would have to place out at Lagoon Valley for some equipment storage. There is the security and safety of on-site equipment through the summer. There is also a potential construction project at Lagoon Valley, and in the staff report at the time of writing that, that was, you know, merely a possibility. It is seeming to be more and more likely. So that makes that obviously a big challenge for bringing in any kind of event to this space. So there's also some poor visibility of the stage for some cars. You know, obviously we could reduce the number of cars, but we wanted to just show the absolute maximum capacity there. And then a loss of consumers to downtown businesses. We know that there are customers who are going to those businesses because they're there for Creek Walk. So we would hate to kind of take that away. Additional costs and revenue losses, there would be $16,000 that we would need to request for additional budget in equipment and storage. And then we would be losing about $5,000 to $9,000 in revenue, charging at about $15 per car as an entry fee. Next slide. Option number two for Creek Walk is at its traditional location at Andrews Park. We could fit about 150 pods or about 750 people. One pod would hold 5 people. Obviously that's quite a bit fewer than what we would see at Lagoon Valley, but we would be able to be in our space that the staff know and are comfortable with, and have kind of that more traditional concert experience. We would have to enforce, again, masks and social distancing. And then we want to take a look, really not just for this option, but for all of them, the number of concerts that we would be interested in having. And we're looking for some feedback from the commission on that. And then just a note on the additional costs and potential revenue losses. This would be no additional cost. We are obviously budgeted annually for these events and this series, but we would expect, because of the capacity limits, just over $2,000 a show in revenue losses. And that's sticking with our $3 per person ticket sales. And again, those would have to be in advance. We would not be able to take anyone in at the door. Next slide, please. So moving on to 4th of July, one option that we have is the use of Owl Patch Park. What's attractive about this is that we can fit up to 900 pods or 4,500 people. But then on the other hand, we have a huge challenge with COVID compliance again, and those masks and distancing, especially with that volume of people. Again, the loss of consumers to downtown businesses. And while we have reached out, we do not have any sort of permission from the state or the prison as of yet, even as just an option right now. But that is something that would be in the works if this option is seen as favorable. This would be a new layout for both the community and the staff, so that could be a bit of a challenge both for traffic and just the event setup in general. And the big ticket item of $102,000 in parking site preparation. We were in the middle of kind of getting those numbers as the staff report went out, so that was not in there. But as you will see on the right of the image here, that potential parking and drive-in viewing area, quite costly to prepare. Currently, that is there's weed abatement disking that happens on an annual basis, and the ground there is just has a lot of ups and downs and would not be ideal. You wouldn't be able to comfortably park a car on there, so it would have to be graded and compacted. Next slide. So going back again to Andrews Park for a traditional fireworks show, again, there is less capacity for folks. However, this would include the fireworks show and the concert, even less than the Creek Walk concert because the fire zone does dip into that pod area. We could have potentially expand a little bit over to the right. We were trying to ensure that we would have some visibility of the stage as we looked at the viewing area. And then again, getting into that COVID compliance, masks and distancing, pre-registration, making sure we have those in-state attendees. And then one big concern, especially for the 4th of July, is the potential for large crowd gatherings outside of Andrews Park and throughout town, and just how to address those gatherings and ensure that people are being safe. Next slide. So this is just a snapshot of the options that I've just reviewed. So again, option 1 option 1 and 2 in the purple is for the Creek Walk concert series, kind of that Lagoon Alley option where we are driving up and viewing from the vehicle. A traditional Creek Walk at Andrews Park, where kind of our biggest concerns are that COVID compliance and again the masks and distancing. And then moving on to the red, fireworks only at Owl Patch Park for the 4th of July, where there is limited parking and quite expensive parking options, and then required permission from the state. And then the fireworks and concert at Andrews Park, where we are concerned with the large gatherings outside of the park. Option 3 that I didn't create a whole slide for, but just kind of note that you know, it is on the table to recommend canceling all events. That would mean that there would be no risk of social gathering and potential contribution to the spread of COVID-19. I will note that option 3 may come to fruition pending how the COVID-19 pandemic continues to impact our community. Our county is teetering into the purple tier again, and there is a possibility that no matter what is decided tonight, all events may be canceled. On the other hand, as I'm sure many of you heard, the most recent announcement from the governor's office that on June 15th, California is on track to fully reopen its economy. So if there's sufficient vaccine supply and good hospitalization rates, it could potentially end the California's current reopening roadmap, which is all those colored tiers that we're all familiar with, and mean a return to some semi-usual operations, but again, staying in compliance with masking and potentially having some new requirements of testing and vaccinations or proof thereof to come into events such as these. Next slide. So again, just, you know, I'm drilling it in here, the mandatory face coverings, bringing back around that discouraging of audience members from yelling, singing, and chanting, the pre-registration requirement, attendees being regional or state residents, and then still having those, again, mask required and possible new testing or vaccination requirements if there is a reopening of the state on June 15th, as I know we're all hopeful for. Next slide. So just a few other considerations. I know there's a lot to take in, so I just wanted to remind everyone that we're also considering the length of the concerts and At this time, I will take questions and open it for discussion. We are really looking for thoughts, recommendations, and any additional insights that our commissioners would like to share.
Melody, thank you so much. A lot of information there and a lot of unknowns, and it's really hard to plan. So thank you for all you're doing. And it looks like we'll open it up for the commissioner comments. Commissioner Thompson.
Thank you. Melody, great job putting all this together in a fairly comprehensive presentation. I know that was a lot of work. I have a question. Has anyone reached out to those downtown businesses and what the potential impact would be to them to relocating either the Creek Walk or the fireworks program to alternate locations? You know, a lot of small businesses downtown are suffering or having a hard time keeping their doors open. So I fear we're taking more away from them if we consider alternate locations.
I will say that there are some, well, I see Aisha has her hand up. I think I'm going to let her take that one. And if she, if not, you can throw it back to me.
Sure.
I wasn't raising my hand to respond to that, but I can. I totally can.
I apologize.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. So the businesses are anxious for things to get back to normal. As we've worked together on trying to plan different events for downtown, our businesses are anxious to bring the crowds back. They do understand that it's going to look a little differently this year, but they are definitely anxious to start having those events again and bringing that life back. As everyone who's been downtown recently, we've got a lot of new things happening, new businesses opening. So just that new energy that's been going on downtown, there's a lot of excitement there, and I think people are looking forward to seeing these events. And that's actually what I was going to bring up, not only the impact on the potential impact on the businesses, but I think just having it in a familiar place, it is going to restore more of that community, you know, pride that we all have here in Vacaville, and trying to relocate it and then bringing it back just seems like another obstacle to throw in there after, you know, COVID's already threw everything for a loop. And to get things as close as we can back to quote unquote normal, I feel like the, you know, community would appreciate that.
Thank you. I agree, and that was my concern is that if we're considering alternate locations, and in my conversations with some of those downtown businesses, they are, as you mentioned, anxious to see things pseudo return to crowds and business. So I, for one, would be a proponent of keeping it even with the accommodations at their original locations, and that's all I have to say for the moment.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Thompson. And Commissioner Gutierrez, did you have a further question or comment, ma'am, or would you like to for us to come back to you?
Oh no, that was it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Berruman.
Commissioner Berruman, hi, Melanie. I know a lot of thought got into going into this, and I'm echoing the same with Commissioner Thompson and Gutierrez, how downtown is really looking forward and people are biting at the bit to have something happening down there. But at the same time, we do have to take into consideration the compliances. But it sounds like you have. Now, keeping it at the park, have you already put the costs together? Are you going to be fencing and all that good stuff? And, you know, to keep the other people from coming in? And, I mean, because you're going to have gates taken care of, people at each gate and all that good stuff. So manning it, how much are you looking at as far as doing that for that?
That's a great question. So for those who may have been to some of the Creek Walk, we actually do gate it every year because there are typically alcohol sales. Unfortunately, that will not be an option this year at any venue. However, we kept those gate expenses in our budget. So it would not be any different than a typical Creek Walk year.
And secondly, they're going to be allowed to be bringing their own food and drink and all that good stuff.
Well, of course, we would encourage everyone to dine at the local restaurants downtown.
Okay.
But to answer your question, I don't see us restricting anyone from bringing in food because we will not have food vendors on site.
Well, yeah, I'm all about it, having it down there. It's just like you said, everybody that's not paying prepaid are going to be out in the streets and parking, and I don't know how you're going to be able to control that.
Definitely a challenge.
Thank you very much, sir. Any further comments or questions, Commissioner Bruman?
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Vasquez.
Hi, Commissioner Vasquez. Just wanted to echo the sentiments. Thank you, Commissioner Thompson and Bruman. I also agree. I think it would be good to maintain it downtown, just knowing that there are businesses downtown that, you know, like to host and traditionally do stuff during July for 4th of July, and just like to, you know, ensure that they're getting business during that peak season. I did have a question about Lagoon Valley in terms of safety. I'm assuming that fire is probably involved in the conversation, but just considering, you know, the LNU that just happened back in August 2020, and considering doing a large fireworks event in Lagoon Valley in July, is that a safety concern? Should we be concerned? So just kind of putting that out there.
Oh, apologies for any confusion. There is no proposal for fireworks on the 4th of July at Lagoon Valley. That would only be for the Creek Walk concerts. Fireworks would only be potentially at Alpatch Park or Andrews Park.
Got it. Sorry. And I'm staring at it right now. Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. It's a lot to take in.
Thank you, Commissioner Vasquez. Any further, Commissioner Vandertulen?
Well, good evening, everybody. Again, Melody, I echo everybody else's comments about the effort you put into this. So I guess I'll just echo everybody else's agreements. I do believe it should stay in the downtown area. I think spending $102,000 at Alpatch Park for possibly only for 1 year is a wasted expense. And then adding the state into the equation, it's just opening a can of worms. Plus, you also mentioned that it would be a new location, so it might be a challenge for the city staff to put that together. So I think because of those reasons, and maybe just on Lagoon Valley, you had mentioned that where the stage is located in the cars, I would not want to be one of those vehicles on the far outside edge trying to visualize what's going on stage, because they won't be able to see it. So I think that's, from their standpoint, it wouldn't be a fun event to go to. And again, it's probably a one-time event. So back to all the comments that have been made, that it should remain in downtown. Yes, it may have to be pared down a little bit given the situation. But I think for the best of the community and trying to bring back, you know, the sentiment towards downtown and just the spirit of the community, we should attempt to reactivate it, keep it in the downtown area. I think everybody understands that there are going to be limitations at that location. We're not going to start anew again. It's going to take a while to unwind from COVID. So from that standpoint, I would agree with the other commissioners. There should be every effort to try to have this in downtown. Now, are you still, you'd made a comment that you're looking at either 5 concert events or 9 concerts event. That's more, you're determining how that's going to occur. Is that correct? The number of concerts, I should say.
So that is what we're looking for input on. So
Okay.
the, Tracy, if you want to go back to slide 10, I believe it is. And thank you for bringing that back up, Commissioner. The 5 concerts would end on our typical timeline from, we don't intend to start any of this until July 9th, just because we're so late into planning at this point.
Understood.
Typically, we would just, as a note, we would typically start the first Friday in June after school gets out.
Okay.
This year, I believe that's
Right.
11th. So
Right.
anyway, but so we're looking at July 9th, and August 6th is when we would normally end the series. That would only be 5 concerts. They run on Friday evenings. And again, that has to do with in our experience, we really lose a lot of attendance when school's back in session. And not to say that we get a ton of students, but it just seems that I think families are busy. the weather starts to get colder, not that much, but enough that for some reason it does seem to deter people. However, we are open to hosting up to 9 concerts, which we would run through the end of August, through the 27th.
Okay, I appreciate that update and just the clarity on that. So maybe in closing on my statements, I'm in agreement that it should remain in the downtown area. And again, the public at large is going to have to understand that we're still in the midst of a pandemic. Hopefully by July, things will be better for us. We're probably still masking up, and that's just gonna be one of the requirements. But again, we don't know yet. It's just April. We still have several months to get to that point. So I know it's a lot to take into consideration, but I just wanted to get my comments in about keeping Creek Walk in downtown. So I appreciate it very much. And again, it was a great presentation, very concise, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Thompson.
Yes, thank you. I just had an additional comment, Melody, and I wonder if due to reduced attendance in the downtown area, and maybe Commissioner Gutierrez could facilitate this with her organization, some of those downtown businesses who now have patio or outdoor seating venues that have been set up. I mean, certainly for the fireworks concert, many of them would have an eyesight of fireworks, and they could set up like, satellites, for lack of a better term, outside to keep people from crowding around the fenced-in area at Andrews Park. So I'm just thinking outside the box, throwing out ideas, and I don't know if that's something that you've considered or we can pursue, but that was just a suggestion. And then my second comment is to do the longer concert series, because we are reducing the number of people that can attend each one. So let's try to get as many of the community members an opportunity to visit the event as possible, would be my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Bruman.
Yes, I want to make sure I wasn't muted. Just wanted to echo what Commissioner Thompson just said. Yeah, I would agree with the 9 concerts to follow up with that. Really, if it continues and it does well and we turn to get out of our tier into the normal group, I think it'll be great, and it'll be great for downtown.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Commissioner Vander Tulen, you have your hand up, sir. Further comment or question, sir?
Nope, I guess I should take my hand down. Apologies for that. Sorry.
No
There you
worries.
go.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Any other commissioner comments or questions? I think it's safe to say that it sounds like we're kind of leaning towards, looks like option 2, keeping the fireworks where they are originally at, down at Andrews Park. It's just so hard. If we had a crystal ball and a magic 8 ball, we could absolutely predict what was going to happen. And, hopefully on June 8th, things get better for everyone in our state and in our town. So, we may be able to put more people in the park based upon whatever the governor's office says. So a lot of unknowns there. But we absolutely do appreciate it. And I would agree also with the 9 concerts. Let's give people a taste of what we used to consider normal, and let's get them out into our parks, and let's pick up where we left off a year or so ago. So with that said, I will go ahead. It looks like we have a hand raised from the public. Madam Secretary.
Yes, Brooke, I will open your mic.
Hello, good evening. Yes, this is Brooke Fox from the Downtown Vacaville Business Improvement District. Just want to thank you all. Thank city staff for their hard work and for even putting downtown on the table and in the mix. So appreciate that, and I appreciate all the positive comments from the commissioners regarding our downtown businesses and your concern, because yes, it has been a difficult year, and so we would certainly love to see, especially now with these new guidelines released by the state, a modified version of Creek Walk and 4th of July happen in our downtown. So thank you for considering that. I did want to mention a possible idea. Has there been any talk about simulcasting or broadcasting these events on Channel 26 so that folks that wanted to stay home or couldn't get tickets could watch from the comfort of their home? That was one thing I thought about. And also, I would definitely advocate for, Melody knows, every time I meet with her, I tell her, raise your price, raise your price. I would definitely advocate for at least a $5 gate for Creek Walk, especially to offset your additional costs. And I think people will be more than willing to pay. So those are just my thoughts, but thank you very much for considering this.
Brooke, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for us. And Melanie, would you like to address that? Have we entertained the idea of broadcasting this on Channel 26?
No, but you know, just like with the Rec Expo, I will definitely be bringing it up with Wayne. He'll be getting 2 emails from me tonight. I appreciate the idea.
I appreciate it as well. Madam Secretary, any further hands for public comment, ma'am?
I see none, Chair.
Excellent. We will close public comment. I'll bring it back to the commission. And it looks like, from what I'm hearing from everybody, we're kind of looking at option 2 for the traditional Creek Walk at Andrews Park and option 2 for fireworks and concert at Andrews Park. I think, again, there's just so much unknown out there right now. I think these slides were probably made even before the announcement, which I believe was yesterday from the governor's office. So, that we know in this COVID world that we've been living in, a lot of times the information changes weekly, daily, and at times hourly. So it's really hard to plan. And thank you so much for planning this big event. And it sounds like we will have some sort of plan and hopefully get back to concerts in the park as well as fireworks. So any further commissioner comments or questions regarding the Creek Walk or fireworks? Melanie, do you have any comments or questions from us? Did we guide you in the right direction? You think you have what you need from the commission, ma'am?
I do, and I appreciate all the feedback. And I do want to just take a moment to give a quick shout out to our supervisor, Julia Madison, and Kristen Milliken, our special event coordinator, who you heard from earlier this evening. They did a lot of legwork and they researched a lot of options that were not presented to you tonight, but they really did their due diligence and were out there, putting in the legwork to get these final options to the table. So I just wanted to recognize them publicly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julia and Kristen. We appreciate everything you do. We know this isn't easy. And, again, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel and it's getting exciting. So thank you so much, Melody. Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We are now at agenda item 11, committee reports. Youth Sports Advisory Team, Commissioner Thompson.
Yes, thank you. The Youth Sports Advisory Team meeting was held on March 18th. Reggie communicated extensions, contract extensions for all the leagues were in hand, and he was coordinating the final signing of those extensions. So those happen in the days following the meeting. Final allocations of facilities fields for all of the leagues were pending. A couple leagues still were having their final signups and final tryouts and registrations. So final census numbers for each league were not finalized yet. I believe those have been completed at this time, and all allocations have been communicated. There was a discussion about season end date. The typical end date is expected to be right around June 18th with a late start to the season and no national tournaments for many of the leagues. There was a discussion about extending until the end of June and possibly into July. Reggie was going to go back and pursue that, and obviously some of that depends on other programming, field access, and then of course the status with COVID and tier levels and things along those lines. But that was a request from many of the leagues to extend. Let me see. There was an update from Public Works. They requested, David Jacobson requested schedules for all of the leagues so he could coordinate irrigation. In years past, it sounds kind of funny, but we have had irrigation come on in the middle of games. And so I appreciate David Jacobson working hard to make sure that that is coordinated around the league schedules. And then National Vacaville National Little League asked about field light timers, and they were going to submit a request to Public Works about pursuing the possibility of putting field light timers where the timers stay on for 20 to 30 minutes after the last person leaves. This is a safety item, keeping the field lit so that everyone can exit the complex under lights instead of walking out under the dark. And that was really the communication. Was a fairly cursory meeting with a little bit of discussion. The next Youth Sports Advisory meeting will be on May 20th. And then I will defer to Reggie in case I missed something.
Thank you, Commissioner Thompson. No, sir, I think you covered it all. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Thompson, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate all the work you're doing for our youth sports out there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Arts Advisory Committee, Commissioner Vasquez.
Hi, everyone. Commissioner Vasquez. So I was able to attend the special meeting of the Arts Advisory Committee on Wednesday, March 24th. The committee reviewed revised draft drawings for the Rocky Hill Trail Public Art Grant Public Art Project from artist Leslie Molera. The committee was presented with 4 options, one of which included a revised drawing based on the feedback from the public that included more realistic depictions of figures instead of silhouetted figures. The committee took public comments and feedback on these options and this newer panel version, and requested that Leslie revise the original panel and silhouetted version to make it more realistic, like the newly presented drawing, which will be presented at the April 14th Arts Advisory Committee. This sounds really complicated and hard to explain, but the drawings can be found on the City of Vacaville's website for the Rocky Hill Trail website. If you just, it's right at the top and there's a link there. There's also a survey that the public can take on that website to select their preferences for the art. Melody has done a great job in helping facilitate all of these conversations and ensuring that that information gets posted to the public website. I think that's awesome because not, community members haven't been able to attend obviously consistently, just depending on the dates and times of meetings. So it's great that community can still give their feedback through the survey. There was a little bit of a conflict, I think, between what the community wanted to see versus what was presented and what Arts Advisory members saw, as public art. So hopefully there will be some compromises between what the artist presents, what the public wants, and then the final recommendation of the Arts Advisory Committee. So they will be reconvening on April 14th to make a final recommendation to Parks and Rec Commission, which will come obviously then to us, and then our recommendation will go to City Council. So I just really strongly encourage the public to attend these future meetings. I try to share the information out there on Facebook, so that way, folks in that area, especially folks who live in the Markham area, to see that information. Unfortunately, I won't be able to attend the Arts Advisory Committee meeting on April 14th, which I'm really sad about because I've been following kind of this project through and through. So I have a schedule conflict that night. But that's all I have, and Melody may be able to provide a more recent update during her reports of rec manager. But that's all I got. But I did have a question just on process in terms of new commissioners and committee assignments. And so I'll maybe kick that to Reggie or to Chair McMahon. Thank you.
Commissioner Vasquez, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you're doing for that committee. And it's exciting to hear that the community is engaged in that. So I appreciate it very much. And more specifically, what when you say appointments, which committee are you referring to, ma'am, or just in general, or what actually is your question? And maybe Reggie can address that now.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't very clear. I guess the commissioner appointments to committees. You remember how last time we did that whole list and we did appointments to committees? I don't know if there's any committees now that have vacant appointments since we had folks rotating off and we've got new commissioners. So mostly just wondering about that, if we're gonna engage in that conversation, and if there's any committees that are missing commissioners.
Yes, ma'am. And I do believe Acting Director Walker is going to address that from reports of director at item 14. Is that correct, Reggie?
Yes, Commission Chair, I will address that at that time.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Vasquez, thank you, ma'am, for your report. Item number 12, reports of Park Planner Hugh Hesterman.
Good evening, Chair McMahon. A warm welcome to our new commissioners. Tonight I will present just a quick rundown on the status of some of our park planning projects. And as usual, I try to give a few photos to lighten up and express 1,000 words through the use of photos. Next slide, please, Tracy. So our Parks and Recreation Master Plan is being scheduled for presentation to the City Council on April 27th. Staff did submit a comprehensive compilation of all the comments that were received from the different commissions and from the public and many other comments. We believe that our consultant is making all the appropriate changes, and we'll have them all addressed in time for the presentation to the City Council on April 27th. If the council finds the document to be largely, that they're largely in acceptance of that, we could schedule it for an approval as soon as May 11th. It could also go a little later than that. Next slide, please, Tracy. Here's a few photos of Dreamers Park that were taken just today. This is the more natural park that it is being constructed in the Farmstead subdivision. And Tracy, if you would just scroll through those 3 shots, that one's kind of a southerly view. And this one's looking sort of southeasterly. You can see the new picnic shelter there in the distance. And again, another shot. This one, I was actually standing on the bikeway that goes east and west through the bottom, the southern portion of this project, and connects to Orchard Avenue and then over to Eldridge. Next slide, please. This is a photo from today of the Play for All Park. This is the Faux City portion of it. Next slide, please. And this view is a little further back. It shows the parking lot. The contractors were able to get the first lift, meaning the first layer of asphalt down before the rains. That was in spite of some difficulty in obtaining materials due to the COVID situation. Both concrete and asphalt, along with a lot of other construction materials, were difficult to obtain. So what you see right here now is only the first layer of asphalt. A second one will have to be applied when it's available. Next slide, please. This photo is of the intersection of Allison and Ulatis Drive, and it's just used to illustrate the number of several new apartment complexes that are being constructed in this general area. This is the Strata 1200 apartment complex that is already, I think, pretty well populated. And then there's 2 more. Next slide, please, Tracy. This one is on Ulatis at Harbison, and that's under construction. I think there's, I believe, 160 units, if I recall correctly there. And the reason I bring these to your attention is because these areas were not originally envisioned to have residential, but the city welcomes the new apartment, the option for housing of apartments. But what it does for this particular area is it creates a new shortage of parkland. In other words, all these new people will not be within the 10-minute walking distance of a neighborhood park. And so one of the things we're struggling to do is to see if we can find a solution for this. One possible option is to add some park acreage, or to develop some acreage east of the Ulatis Cultural Center and what would be south of a future fire station. So that's just something that's in the works. You'll probably be hearing more about that in the near future. Next slide, please. This photo is of the southern end of the Roberts Ranch subdivision. If you look almost straight center in the photo, you can see the first few homes are being built there. Those are the model homes. And the area where my city car is parked is where the small dog park will be built beginning this summer. And if you look at the next slide, you can see where the large dog park area will be built. On the left, you can see the staking for the roadway. And actually immediately in front here, I realize it just looks like a bunch of dirt. To me, in my mind, I can see it all laid out, but there'll be a well site, and then the open space wraps around and runs parallel to those high tension power lines. So there's a lot of parkland that these residents will be getting to enjoy. I think I reported at our last meeting that not the dog park, which is in phase 1, will be constructed this summer. And we anticipate that the pickleball courts, which will be at the very southern end of the next phase, we hope will be constructed the following summer. So that hopefully will take some of the pressure off of the demand between both pickleball and tennis for our existing lighted courts. Next slide, please. This is the master plan for Magnolia Park. And the western portion of this, that would be on the left side of your view, has been constructed and has been very, very popular. If you remember in our Park and Rec master plan, this was, I think it was the 3rd most popular park in the city of Vacaville, complete with a very large playground, the splash play area or spray play area, restroom, several picnic facilities. And we are now told that the subdivision to the east, which is technically Southtown Phase 3, that developer is ready to proceed. And we think they are on board with building this, this second phase of the park along with their subdivision. There will be the need to do some modifications to this master plan because of some changes that were occurring. Probably the one that's easiest to see is that the fire station, which is pretty much dead center at the top end of the park, is not. Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, right there. They elected to not use the Vanden Road right of way for their driveway. And so that provides a little additional space for park. And there's a number of other changes that we'll be proposing, and the commission will be brought into that discussion. Also, I don't have a slide of this, but you should know that Green Tree developer is working on some concept plans, and we're looking at the cost of maintaining the areas. They're actually wanting to provide more parkland than they were originally required, which is a very good thing. But then we're butting up against how to pay for the maintenance of all that extra acreage. And I believe, Tracy, that's the last of my slides. I would be happy to entertain any questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
Hugh, thank you so much for your presentation. Are there any comments or questions from the commission for Hugh Hesterman? All right, Mr. Hesterman, I see no hands. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair McMahon.
Thank you. We are now at item 13, reports of Recreation Manager, Melody Ocampo.
Thank you, Chair. Tracy, if you could zoom out. As Commissioner Vasquez mentioned, I do have an update, well, she really gave the update on the Arts Advisory Committee and the Rocky Hill Trail Public Art Project and where it stands at this moment. But as she mentioned, there is a survey online. We put these posters up throughout the Rocky Hill Trail and at Trower Park, and we have sent them out to various local community groups in the area. Specifically sent them the link to kind of get out to their participants And we would just encourage everyone to visit the Rocky Hill Trail website at cityofvacaville.com and to take the survey, especially those who are living in this community. So just wanted to put that out there. If anyone on the commission can help us spread the word, we greatly appreciate it. And thank you to Commissioner Vasquez for her involvement and her just dedication to doing just that, just getting people involved with this project. It's much appreciated. So we do have the survey available in English and Spanish, and I am very pleased to announce that we actually did get the updated artwork that was requested by the Arts Advisory Committee, as Commissioner Vasquez mentioned, and so that is on a updated version of the survey, and we've kind of updated our links all around there. So let's just hope that we can get some good feedback from the community on this and then get them what they want. So and then I just wanted to make a note and circle back to the suggestion from Brooke Fox, who had talked about simulcasting the Creek Walk events. Unfortunately, I did receive word from our media production coordinator, who had just mentioned that there would be some pretty big copyright issues with simulcasting the event. We pay for licensing fees to do live performances, but any sort of cover song or anything done by a band would be kind of muted out on YouTube, and we could get into some really big fines for broadcasting that. So that was just some unfortunate news that I figured I'd share while the topic was on the agenda. So bit of a bummer there. And that is it for me.
Melody, thank you so much. Any comments from the commission for Melody Ocampo? I see no hands. Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Item number 14, reports of Acting Director Reggie Hubbard.
Thank you, Commission Chair. Just a few quick items. Once again, I'd like to welcome the new commissioners. It was a pleasure meeting you last week, and I really look forward to working with you guys in this coming year. And I know you guys will bring good things to this group and be an asset to our department. So I really appreciate that. And I just want to thank the staff for all their hard work in the last few months. It's just, we've been, of course, busy. Even during the pandemic, we've been very busy doing virtual things and just pivoting to assist seniors, all sorts of things that we've been doing. And Hugh and Tracy working very hard on the Park and Rec Master Plan, getting that prepared for the council, and Melody working very hard on the Rocky Hill Art Project and the Trower Park Project. So staff was just doing some great things even in these times, and I just want to appreciate them for that. And related to the committee assignments, I know the next item on the agenda will be electing a chair and vice chair. And so we wanted to make sure we had a chair, vice chair, before we did our committee assignment. So that will be coming to the commission next month. We will send information out on all the committees, and we will give the commission next month the opportunity to reassign, if need be, to folks who want to be on select committees. So some of the committees are no longer needed. Like we had the Nelson Park committee, which that master plan is done. I think we had an Owl Patch Park committee as well. So some of the committees will come off the list, but we'll go over that next meeting, and then we'll make those committee assignments next month. And with that said, that will end my report. Thank you. I can answer any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone from the commission have a comment or question for Reggie Hubbard? I see no hands, sir. Thank you. Item number 15, reports of the commission. Tonight, we are looking at appointing a chair and a vice chair position moving forward. And at this point, I would like to open, we'll start with the chair first. I would like to open it up for commissioner comments and nominations for the chair position moving forward. Commissioner Vasquez.
Hello, Commissioner Vasquez. I would love to nominate Sean McMahon for another term as chair.
Okay, so we have a nomination for McMahon. Thank you, ma'am. And Commissioner Bruman.
I echo that what Commissioner Vasquez said. I would like to see you, Chair McMahon be reappointed as chair.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further comments for Commissioner or for McMahon moving forward with the chair? Commissioner Gutierrez?
Would just like to offer my support in that, you being reappointed as well to chair again.
I appreciate that, ma'am. Okay, so we have a motion from Vasquez, a second from Berumen. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Berumen,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandertoolen,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, looking at appointing a vice chair. Again, I would like to open up for commissioner comments and nominations, please, for vice chair. Commissioner Thompson.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Vasquez for vice chair.
Okay, very good. And we have a motion, Commissioner Gutierrez.
I second that. I would also like to nominate Commissioner Vasquez as vice chair.
Very good. So we have a motion and a second. We have Thompson and Gutierrez. Roll call vote, please, for vice chair.
Commissioner Berumen,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Yes.
Commissioner Thompson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Yes.
Commissioner Vandertoolen,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Vice Chair Vasquez. Thank you very much. Okay, we are now at the end of our meeting, so reports from the commission. Again, I would just like to say welcome to our new commissioners. Thank you so much for participating and stepping up in your community. We appreciate it, and we all look forward to working with you. So at this time, I would like to allow Commissioner Berumen. Any commissioner comments, sir?
I'd just like to welcome the commissioners to the commission and welcome. And then also to the city staff, the great work in working with our times that we have so hard in developing things and make things happen. And I'm looking forward to the concert series in, when is it, July?
July.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Commissioner Gutierrez.
Just so appreciative of all of the welcomes and Tracy, all of your emails that you sent to just get me up to this point, and everyone that has offered time and been able to meet with me or chat with me. And I look forward to serving this community.
Welcome, ma'am. We're happy you're here. Commissioner Thompson.
I want to echo, I want to welcome Commissioner Gutierrez and Commissioner Vandertoolen. Welcome to the commission. I look forward to working with you, and hopefully someday we will all get to see each other's face again in person. And congratulations to Sean McMahon. You are the right person for the job as chair, and Commissioner Vasquez as vice chair. I look forward to the leadership that you both will be able to provide for the next year. And that is all I have. Thank you, staff, for all you do every single day to keep this commission going and this department strong.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the words. Commissioner Vandertoolen.
Well, I'd just like to echo the sentiments that the warm accolades and joining the commission. I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Hopefully I will be a solid member and assist in decision making as it goes forward. So thank you all, and likewise, I look forward to meeting everybody face to face. So until then, we continue forward.
Thank you, sir. We're happy you're here, and I do look forward to meeting you as well, sir. Thank you. Vice Chair Vasquez.
All right. Also wanted to just say thank you and welcome to the new commissioners. Really excited to be working with you all and hopefully meet you all in person. I mean, hopefully we'll go back in person at some point. I haven't been in person since I've been on the commission, so it's been an interesting term. Just wanted to say thank you for the nomination for vice chair. Looking forward to working with you, Chair McMahon, in this next year as chair and vice chair. Did just wanted to give a quick update. Commissioner Thompson and I were able to meet with Reggie this past month on a question that was raised at the last meeting on the parks master plan about one of the goal being removed on field maintenance, which was a really great conversation. So it was great to connect with Acting Director Hubbard and also discuss other just, league items and field maintenance. I haven't really been engaged much in those conversations as a commissioner. So it was just nice to connect with the two of them and share some ongoing feedback that I know I've heard from the leagues. And then I've also just been able to connect with Melody a few times here and there in between Arts Advisory and public meetings for the Rocky Hill Trail Grant, and just, just really wanted to thank her for all her work on that. I know it has been a long journey. So I'm looking forward to seeing that project eventually wrap up, and hopefully, like I said in my update on AAC, that we'll find a nice balance and compromise between public, committee, and artist. So thank you all, and hope everyone has a good night.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Vasquez. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with you as well, ma'am. And again, thank you very much for the nomination to chair. It's an honor to sit here and to be able to facilitate the meeting and to work with the commission. So I appreciate it. Welcome to our new commissioners. And again, thank you to the existing commissioners that have served for the past year or more, and to staff. Thank you. Again, I see light at the end of the tunnel as we move through this pandemic. So it's exciting. It's exciting to see this department looking into the future and doing what we have done in the past, and the creek walk and the fireworks and all the fun stuff that we love here in Vacaville. So it's much appreciated. Thank you so much. With that said, we will adjourn this meeting until Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. Good night, Vacaville.